Okay, here's what I need you to do. I want you to picture in full living color, absolute rock star employee. Someone that everybody at your company would love to hire in a heartbeat. If that employee happens to be you, go ahead, raise your hand. No? Okay. I knew that was going to happen with this group. Okay, so picture in living color, give me some characteristics of a rock star employee. Just shout them out loud. Punctuality. Unflappable. You have to be able to spell whatever word you throw at me, okay? Because I guarantee you I can't. Okay, what was it? Gets things done. Initiative. Okay, all right. Boy, you guys are ready to roll. I love it. Okay, now I want you to picture in black and white that not so great employee. Okay, the one that, how many of you know of at least one person at your company that should have been fired already for low or no performance? Raise your hand. Okay, that happens everywhere I go. It's crazy. Why are they still there? But picture that employee. Now give me some characteristics of that employee.
Busy doing nothing.
What was it?
Busy doing nothing.
Busy doing nothing. Negative.
3-hour lunch breaks.
What was it? 3-hour lunch breaks. Who's not a fan of the 3-hour lunch break? Apathetic. What kind of people are y'all working with? What is going on here? Okay. So I ran my own company for 20 years, did a lot of hiring and firing in the course of that. And then for the last 10 years, I've been in and out of all sorts of companies. So many different industries, so many different sizes of companies. I'm convinced there are two kinds of employees out there. The first one, the rock star, I call in my book the Stacys. Do we have anybody here named Stacy? Okay, y'all should love me because you're the rock star in my book. So Stacy is awesome. She shows up, she brings ideas, she does all sorts of things to innovate, bring the company forward. She makes the company money. Stacy is a rock star employee. Then there's the other kind, and I call him Crawley. I felt fairly safe. Nobody was going to be named Crawley, all right? Crawley is what I call a zombie employee. We have any zombie fans here? Walking Dead, any? Okay. All right. What do zombies live for? They live to eat. And in corporate America, eating is what? Drawing a paycheck. So when a zombie comes up against a chain link fence, does he go looking for wire cutters to figure out how to get through that fence? Yes or no? Does he figure out a way to get around the fence? Yes or no? No. What does he do? Keeps bumping up against that fence until hopefully he reaches critical mass and enough other zombies come along and they're able to just topple that fence right over. Okay. Gallup shows over and over again that in corporate America, there's a certain percentage of Stacys and a certain percentage of Crawleys. Highly engaged employees, what percentage at your typical U.S. company do you think are highly engaged Stacys? What percent? 20, 10, 13, 40, 30. Okay, very specific numbers. It's actually 29%. Now, I think that is abysmal. I think that is ridiculous. It means that a third of our workforce, that many companies are running on a third of the workforce, okay? So that's like having a 6-string guitar with only 2 strings working. It's like having a 6-cylinder engine with only 2 cylinders working. Like having a 3-legged stool with only 1 leg. I can do this all day, okay? Just take anything and divide it by 3s. Ridiculous, and I think we have to change that. If we're going to change corporate America, employee engagement and company culture is the starting place. So normally when I go and I do this talk, I kind of come at it from 2 different angles. The book's really kind of divided up into the first part is about the culture. The second part is about the individual. So normally I would talk about company culture killers and the way you create that culture and all of that. I don't want to do that today because today is about you. Who's today about? You. Okay, so what I want us to talk about is how do you act like an owner and make yourself indispensable to any organization. We've kind of been talking about that all day, have we not? So, here's what I need you to do. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Okay, hold on. I got to get ready here. This is going to be good. Okay, on the count of 3. you have to adopt one of two positions, one of two body positions. One is, woohoo, I just won the lottery. I just won the whatever in the casino here, $1 million. This is awesome. This is fantastic. The other is, I am Wonder Woman. Okay, if you're a dude, you can be Superman, all right? You don't have to be Wonder Woman unless you want to. Then you can just be Wonder Woman, okay? So it's either this or this. Now, I know it's later in the day. It can't be floppy like this. It's got to be really big, okay? You ready? On the count of 3, adopt one of those two positions. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Hold it. Okay, great photo op. Thank you all. Grab a seat. That has absolutely nothing to do with anything. I just wanted to see if I could get y'all to do that. No. I was talking to somebody earlier, if we have any TED Talk fans, you may have seen Amy Cuddy's TED Talk. Woo, yeah. Is Amy in the house? No? Okay, right there. So Amy Cuddy did some research out of Harvard, and they discovered some pretty crazy stuff about the way we use our body, the way we use our physiology. And what she discovered was, when you adopt an open position, like we just did, for only 2 minutes, some cool stuff goes on with your body chemistry. Testosterone, which is the confidence drug, that's the, I got it, I can do this. Oh yeah, I'm on top of my game. Testosterone goes up. Cortisol, which is also a stimulant, but it's the not so good one. This is the one that wakes you up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you can't go back to sleep till 4 because you're worrying about that big deal the next day. And is it going to rain? Is everything going to work out? Raise your hand if you've ever had that experience, okay? Cortisol is not our friend, right? So testosterone, when you adopt an open position, testosterone goes up, cortisol goes down. When you adopt a closed position, you're getting ready to go in for that job interview and you're all hunkered over like this on your phone. The opposite happens. Cortisol, all that negative energy goes up, testosterone goes down. So what they did was they actually had people adopt one of these two positions for 2 minutes, go into a mock interview, and in that mock interview, they asked them a few questions, a little quick 5-minute thing, and then they showed those interviews to a bunch of other people who had no idea what the experiment was about and said, who would you hire? Consistently, unbeknownst to those people doing the picking, they chose the people who had adopted the open position. Why? Because they showed up differently. They walked into that interview room with some confidence and a little bit of swagger going on. We show up in life, we show up in relationships, we show up to work in one of two ways. We either show up as Wonder Woman, okay, I am here to save the day. I think that's actually Mighty Mouse. I'm not sure. I'm getting my, okay, whatever. If you're going, who the heck is Mighty Mouse? All right. Do an age check right now, okay? So, but we show up either like that as Superman or Wonder Woman, or we show up as Eeyore. Everybody know Eeyore? What's Eeyore like? Everything's droopy, everything's bad. Everything is, there's just this dark cloud that follows them. How are you showing up? So by the way, very practical technique. I mean, I use this all the time. My daughter, who's now a sophomore at the University of Texas. Woo! Okay, yeah, got some Longhorns here. Before she took her SAT, or after she took her SAT, I was like, Callahan, did you do it? She's like, yes, Dad. I was in the other room doing this, okay? She's on a full ride to the Business Honors Program at University of Texas. So it can't be all bad, but this stuff works. So think about the way you're showing up. They did another experiment where they had a bunch of college kids and they had them go out just in life and they said, for 10 days, we want you to be very friendly to everybody you meet. So when you go get your coffee, you're kind of, hey, how's it going? Being super friendly. No matter what you do, we just want you to treat other people with kindness and respect. At the end of those 10 days, they measured every score they could think of. Their grades, their relationship with their boyfriend or girlfriend, how they felt about life. What do you think happened with those scores after 10 days of just kind of being nice to people? They went up. So then they did something horrific. They told him for the next 10 days, we want you to go out and be surly, okay? Be kind of abrupt and rude, like, hey, where's my coffee? What's going on? Why is it taking so long? What do you think happened after those 10 days to their scores? They went down. Very predictable. Now, here's the kicker, though. They had them for the last 10 days go out and be just completely neutral. They're not going to say, super over the top. They're not going to be rude. They're not going to be nice. They were just flat, just sort of neutral. What do you think happened to their scores after those 10 days? Went down in the same exact proportion it had gone down when they were being rude. So here's the truth. We're either elevating people as we're interacting with them, and by the way, look around this room, you're all ambassadors. You're ambassadors for the company you represent. You're ambassadors for the people you work with and for. If somebody is rude to you in the airport, what do you say? That was a rude what? Person. What a rude man. What a rude woman. If the flight attendant is rude to you on the plane, what do you say? A rude airline. So how do we show up? It's huge. Owners know their identity. So owners show up in a certain way. They also know their identity. Who watched the Olympics this year? Awesome. Who watched the 2008 Olympics? You remember that? Back in Beijing. So it's Beijing, China. This is 2008. It's opening ceremonies. And as you know, all of the athletes come out. They do the whole walk around with their country. Does the host country come out first or last? Last. So finally, here comes the Chinese delegation. It's huge, as you can imagine, just all the athletes. And it's a big honor to be leading that delegation. You get to carry the flag. You're kind of the first one out. You're leading all your teammates. So this year, it's Yao Ming. Anybody know Yao Ming? Big 7-foot basketball player. Yao Ming, NBA player. But that wasn't the, ironic or interesting part. At the end of Yao Ming's big, long stature and down the length of his hand, you looked, and there was a little 9-year-old boy kind of struggling to keep up with Yao Ming. His name was Lin Hao. People in the West had no idea who this kid was or why in the world he was leading the delegation. Clearly, he was not an athlete. Months earlier, in the Sichuan province in China, there had been a horrible earthquake. 70,000 people died in that earthquake. When that earthquake hit, Lin Hao was sitting in a classroom with 29 other students. And when it hit, it was catastrophic. The ceiling caved in, fell in on top of them. It was just really, really bad. Lin Hao somehow managed to make his way through that rubble. And when he got out, he was all banged up, all bruised up, scratches, cuts everywhere. He manages to get out of that. He comes out into daylight and he is saved. And then he does something really amazing. He turns around, he goes back into that rubble, and he starts to pull out classmate after classmate, one by one, until single-handedly he's able to save 8 of his other classmates. Yeah. So all told, out of 29 students, only 9 survived, but it was due largely to the efforts of Lin Hao. When the relief workers showed up, you know what Lin Hao was doing? He had them all seated in a circle, and he was singing songs with them to distract them from the trauma that had just occurred. So when they came to little Lin Hao and they said, we don't get it. You put yourself at risk. You didn't have to do that. You were safe. Why in the world would you go back in there? He looked at them with incredulity and said, I had to. I'm a hall monitor. It's my job to take care of the other kids. Okay? Yeah. Right? For Lynn. That's also applause, though, for knowing your identity, knowing what you're about. How do you label yourself? What do you call yourself? Now, we know what most companies are about because it's hanging on the wall when you walk in the front door. It's on this little thing we call the mission statement, and most of them read something like this. We exist for the furtherance of the quality care for ongoing, perplexity of our needs to perpetuate and innovate into the environment, right? Okay. In fact, be honest. If I asked you right now to turn and recite word for word your mission statement, how many of you could do it? Okay, not a lot of hands going up in the room. Ridiculous. So instead, I talk in the book about something different, something that really has some vision and some passion behind it, and I call it a business actionable mantra, or a BAM. Say it with me, but you got to do this when we say it, okay? A BAM. BAM! Okay, so this is a business actionable mantra in contrast to a mission. Well, for starters, raise your hand if you've ever been to, stayed at, thought about staying at, heard a song about, driven by, had a drink at a Ritz-Carlton. Okay. Geez, if your hand's not up right now, wow. If I didn't cover all my bases on that one. All right, what kind of service do you get or would you expect to get at a Ritz-Carlton? Excellent, fantastic, amazing. I never get kind of mediocre, meh, it's okay. Is it consistent or inconsistent no matter what Ritz-Carlton you're at? Very consistent. It doesn't matter if you are in Bangkok, Thailand, or Dallas, Texas, where I live, or no matter what part of the world, or where you are, Naples, Florida, it's very consistent. How are they able to do that? Well, for starters, they have a pretty amazing BAM. Does anybody know what it is, by the way? Okay. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And that is their guiding light. That is their guiding principle. And what that means is that if you are taking care of the cleaning of the rooms, or you're the valet, or you happen to work in corporate sales, or you're the VP of HR, whatever the situation is, they know exactly how to act. They hold themselves to a standard. They know what their identity is. So I became really intrigued with this idea of mantras, and I came up with a couple for myself. One of mine is, I amplify the inherent greatness in every person I meet, okay? Now, do you feel like your greatness has been amplified yet? No? Okay. If not, I'm not doing my job right. So I take that on. When I go out there into the world, I want to bring a certain level of energy and enthusiasm that just elevates people and makes them feel better about themselves. How big do you think I have to be to bring the highest amount of energy into the typical Starbucks on a Monday morning at 6:30? Not very much, right? Because the energy level is way down here. In fact, if I just walk up to the counter and they, hello, what can I get? How are you today? Well, I'm good. How are you? I'm outstanding. All of a sudden, blah, they start looking around. What's going on? The barista stops. Someone's speaking to us. What is wrong? What is the deal here? You don't think it's that bad. Trust me, it's that bad. In fact, I walked into a restaurant in Austin, and the hostess came up to Callahan and I. We were down there looking at UT. Comes walking up to us and says, hi, how are y'all doing today? And I said, we are outstanding. How are you? And she goes, I'm great. And then she said something that I guarantee every single one of you have heard. You've probably heard it this week. I've heard it hundreds of times, but for the first time it startled me, and I thought, why do people say that? She said, thank you for asking. And I thought, what an interesting, statement. So I said to her, I'm sorry, if you don't mind, I'm just kind of curious. Why in the world would you say thank you for asking? She said, dude, you have no idea. She's like, the people we deal with all day long. Said, guy walked in the other day. I walked up to him. Hi, how are you doing? He did this. 5. Like, I need a table for 5, okay? There's a very effective, we talked about communication today, right? And effective, this is not great office communication or anywhere else. So, amplify the inherent greatness of every person I meet. I want you, not right now, we're not gonna take the time to do it, but I want you thinking about jotting a few notes about your mantra. What is it that directs your behavior at work? What is it that shapes kind of every interaction with every other person you have? I guarantee you, if you will develop a couple of those, they will bring a deeper meaning to you, and they will have a big impact on the way you interact with and deal with other people. By the way, I've got 2. I'm writing a whole bunch more. The other one is, I live life joyfully and abundantly on my terms while being a blessing to everyone around me. And I can't tell you how many times during the day I have to look and go, am I being joyful? Am I living life abundantly? Am I doing what I want to do? Or am I doing something else I don't want to be doing? What am I doing? So these can be really powerful. Okay, I want you to turn and tell somebody, think about people you really like hanging out with. Think about the qualities of some people you really, really like hanging out with. Pick a partner, real quick, 60 seconds. Just describe the characteristics of that person to another person. Go. All right, all right, all right. Come on back. So I'm going to take a guess here, okay? I have a Ph.D. in psychology. By the way, that's the Dr. Daren Martin. So, and I've had thousands of conversations with people, so I'm pretty good at this. I'm going to venture a guess that just about everybody in the room said something like this. Somebody who puts me down at every turn. No matter what I do, it can never be good enough. And if I'm celebrating a huge victory, they point out the, yeah, well, what about this other thing? You know, you may have nailed it on this thing, but what about this other situation that you didn't do so well? Raise your hand if that's what you described to another person. Okay? Okay, I did not do so good on that one, all right? Let me try another one. Someone who is afraid of their own shadow. They never venture out. They don't put themselves out in any way. They just kind of are wilting and they kind of stay off in the shadows. How many describe somebody like that? Okay. Now what I want you to think about is, think about the people in your life. Who do you hang out with the absolute most? Who's your crowd? Who's your crew? Who do you hang out with the absolute most? Give me some people. Family? Co-workers? Spouses? By the way, it's a total sidebar, but when it comes to coworkers, nothing will destroy an organization quicker than poisonous employees, right? You know what I'm talking about? People who just bring everything down. Professor of mine used to ask a question, how much cow dung does it take to spoil a bowl of ice cream? Not much, okay? So those are people you hang out with on a regular basis, but here's what I want you to really think about. Who do you hang out with the most? You go to bed with them every night. You get up with them every day. They're there when you shower. Okay? Some of y'all are going, who would that? Not to confuse you. Yourself. Here's the reality, and this was touched on earlier today. By the way, I love the way that all of our stuff is sort of thematic and pulling together. That ought to tell you something. You're here for a purpose. And there's a reason that all of these talks are kind of resonating around the same. We didn't compare notes. We didn't get together beforehand. I think because this is a divine appointment for you to hear some of these things. And some of y'all in the room need to hear this in particular. The way you talk to yourself, the way you deal to yourself, if that was your best friend, would you keep them as a friend? And for many of you would say, no way. Then why in the world would you ever deal with and talk to yourself that way, right? Owners understand the importance of the way that you treat yourself because it's going to trickle over in the way you treat other people. Okay, point made. Owners master their thinking and emotions. So do something real quick for me. Look around the room and do exactly what I am asking you to do here. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Don't get freaked out. Look around the room. See all the red in the room real quickly. All the red, all the red. Find the red. Find the red. Find the red. Okay, close your eyes. Now, make a mental list of all the blue that you saw in the room. Okay, you can open your eyes. Not so easy, right? Why is that? Because what were you looking for? Red. There's this little thing, it's based on science. By the way, science is starting to back up all these crazy notions that we've had for a while about the way we operate. And what science is indicating, there's a little thing called the reticular activation system. And basically how that operates is that you see what you're looking for. So if you've ever had the experience, you buy a brand new Honda Accord or an F-150 or whatever it is, and you get out there and you start driving around, what do you see everywhere? Honda Accords, F-150s, okay? I came the other day, I wanted to go to the Super Dry store. I don't know why, it's one of my new favorite brands. And I was walking around the casino, victim of my own deal today. I was like, man, everybody's wearing Super Dry. I'm like, duh, you're about to teach on this stuff. No, there's probably a lot more Polo walking around you. You just happen to notice every time somebody comes by with that. It's the same way with the way we view everything in life. What you predispose yourself to and decide you're going to see is what you see. So if you tell yourself a story that the world's a bad, scary, place, people are out to screw you over at every turn, and if you're not careful, people take advantage of you, what kind of people do you run into all the time? People who are going to screw you over at every turn. If you decide, on the other hand, it is a beautiful, glorious universe, everybody is together, everybody is committed to your success. If you'll just look for them and find them, what kind of people are you going to see? Certainly people like that. I need 2 volunteers real quick. Boom. Second, come on down. In fact, come on up. Let's do this on stage. This will be fun. Big round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so I want you all to do exactly what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to embarrass you, anything. So what's your name?
Ashley.
Ashley. Wait, did y'all hear the way Ashley said Ashley? I bet you're from the South, aren't you?
I am Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky! In the house! Okay, and Susan, where are you from?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, okay? So we've got Ashley and Susan. So here's what I want you to do. Susan, I want you to come around here, or you can go that way if you want. Okay, turn around, face Ashley, and just do exactly what I'm going to describe. I want you to look just past Ashley and describe what you see. What are the things you see? I'm going to get down here so you can kind of hear. All right.
The curtain, the blue lights.
Curtain, blue lights.
The wrinkles in the curtains.
The wrinkles in the curtains. Okay. Wow. Only this group would. Okay. I think by definition, they're supposed to have wrinkles, but these are not the purposeful wrinkles, right? These are the. Okay, awesome. Did y'all get that, what Susan described? Okay, now we're going to turn it over to Ashley. Ashley, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to look past Susan and describe everything you see in the room. Go.
I see 2 black squares in the ceiling, a bunch of different holes, a bunch of different shadows of people, different colors, different shapes.
You guys are worse than meeting planners, okay? I mean, black holes in the ceiling, all sorts of crazy. And you see shadows of people. Do you see some people? Oh, wait, you've got the light shining right in your eye, okay? So we got, okay, awesome. Nice job, Ashley and Susan. Stay right here. You can turn around so you can see the crowd. Okay, so we have a problem. I don't know if y'all heard the problem. Did their descriptions match? Okay, so who's right? This is America. They can't both be right. Who's right? Ashley or Susan? Who's right? Silly question, okay? How are they both right? Because they are looking from what? Different perspectives. So, if Ashley were to understand what Susan was seeing, what would she have to do? She'd have to come around over here. If Susan was going to see what Ashley was seeing, what would she have to do? She'd have to turn around. Okay, big round of applause again for Susan and Ashley. So no matter how you slice and dice it, and I criticize him a lot in my books for different things, but Henry Ford nonetheless was a great American hero, did some really cool things. Henry Ford said this, if there's any one secret to success, now I don't know about you, but when a successful person says, I'm about to give you the one secret to success, the one secret sauce formula, I want to sit up and take notice. He goes on to say, if there's any one secret to success, it lies in the ability to see the other person's position as well as you see your own. Stephen Covey put that a different way. Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand and then to be understood. I guarantee you, 98%, that's a made-up number, of your office conflict, but based on a lot of data, trust me, of your office conflict or your relationship conflict or anything else goes like this. There are wrinkly curtains. No, they're not. There are shadows and people in the room and black holes in the ceiling. No, they're not. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, there are. You're dead wrong. And it's back and forth when all we have to do is say, let me see what you're seeing. Let me try to understand that. Owners look for opportunities to understand the other person's position as well as I can see your own. In fact, I want to give you a little homework assignment. Pick 10 people you interact with on a regular basis. And I want you to think about and do a little profile on them. What must it be like to be them? What must it be like to not get the thing they needed? I don't mean from you, but just in general from the company. Or what's it like being out there in sales or whatever the arena of the company, and really try to understand that position, because it's going to make you more powerful and it's going to put you in a better opportunity to communicate with those people. Okay, I need one more volunteer. Come on. Awesome. There's money involved in this one. I'm going to tell you, it is Vegas. I'm going to tell you right now, just like Vegas, you don't get to keep any of it. Okay? I'm going to hand it to you for a short period, and then I'm going to take it back, okay? So that sounds like Vegas, doesn't it? Okay, so Marianne. Is it Mary Ann?
Mary Ann.
Okay, Mary Ann. And where are you from, Mary Ann?
Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Michigan.
Okay, Michigan. Let's hear it for Mary Ann. Okay, and who do you work for?
I work for Lycera Corporation.
Lycera Corporation. Okay, awesome. So Mary Ann has just won the lottery. You know, the thing she was doing earlier, or she won big at the casino, she was the $1 million Powerball winner or whatever stuff, right? So now she decides she's going to leave her company. She loves it, but she's going to go do something new. So she ventures out. Come on out here so we can get everybody. So she's going to start a new company, and this is what the company's called. I trade $1 bills for $5 bills, okay? I trade $1 bills for $5 bills. Does that sound like a good business model? Sounds like a phenomenal business model if you can make it happen, okay? So here she goes. She's starting, opening first day. Now, what if I told you people are actually lined up around the block to make this transaction? How does it sound like a good business deal? Absolutely. In fact, people are so stoked. They're so excited. They're standing in line before she even opens to come make this deal. So they walk in, they hand her a 5. She hands them a 1. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I love it. This is great. Here you go. Here's one. Next customer. Okay, fantastic. Here you go. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Here you go. Okay, if this is your business, how fast do you want to make this transaction? Pretty darn fast. All right, so let me ask you a question. Thank you. Let's hear it from Mary Ann again, and I'm going to hold on, Mary Ann. I'm going to give you a copy of the book, just that you get a little bit of, yeah. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever waited 20 minutes or longer at the bar to get a drink. Raise your hand if you've waited 30 minutes or longer at a bar to get a drink. Okay, take a look around. These are all the alcoholics in the room. I've got my hand up. Come on. We're doing some drinking in Vegas, right? Is that not the bar business? I walk up and I hand you a $5 bill, or in Vegas, a $20 bill, and you hand me a 50-cent Coors Light or whatever it is, right? Isn't that the bar business? Or I walk up and I hand you a $10 bill and you give me a 50-cent glass of wine. Those bottles, you know, typically they're paying a couple bucks, you know, for them. That's the bar business. Why in the world would you want to make it difficult or slow for people to make that transaction? Raise your hand if you've ever left an item in a store on a counter and walked out because the line was too long to check out. Okay, ridiculous. I call that friction. And these days, I just don't like friction. I don't want to fill out forms. I don't want to stand in line. I don't want to check in, check out. I just want stuff to happen. Come on, it's 2016. So in the corporate world, we find all sorts of points of friction. The king, by the way, at eliminating friction, the company that makes it super easy for you to spend money, your money, and they make it so doggone easy, just surpassed another company with an A in the name to become the most dominant company. Who is it? Amazon. Buy now with one click. You've got all sorts of things. I mean, you've got Prime Now. I ordered copy paper from my home office the other day because I didn't want to get dressed and go get it before my 12 o'clock meeting. And within an hour and 15 minutes, I've got copy paper sitting at my front door. And it cost me $5 in tip to make that happen, okay? So, Amazon. Let's hear it for Amazon! So I'm a massive fan. Eliminating friction. Now, I want to take it down because I said we're not going to talk about the company, we're going to talk about you. What are the areas of friction that you could eliminate for people dealing with you? What are those areas that make it difficult for people to interact with you? Because we know the biggest points of friction in anything is this, right? Relationship friction. So when you think about it, I mean, some of you have had a lot of friction in some of your relationships. Some of you, maybe have ex-spouses where it was, it was like mixing oil and, how's the expression go? Like mixing oil and water. No, like mixing oil and Satan, okay? Okay, so owners eliminate friction. You make it super easy for people to do business with you. I've talked to some people who say, I'm kind of grumpy and I'm this, and people don't like me so much at first, but if they'll work with me for 10 years and kind of figure me out, then they'll start liking me after. Eliminate that. You don't want to make it difficult for people to do business with you. And because of that, you want to be a rapport expert. Now, we talked about that. I was going to do some stuff on that today, but we already talked about that earlier today. If you do want to go see, I've got a full-length video, some training on my site, DarenMartin.com. Very easy to find. And it's all about how to gain instant rapport with anybody, anywhere. I think the title's actually like Instant Rapport or something. If you want to go check that out, some great tips and tricks in there. And by the way, since I threw out the website, add me on Facebook, my Facebook page, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Tinder. No. It's a joke. I'm actually not on Tinder, okay? But all those other ones I am on. I'm a little bit of a social media, well, I won't tell you what people have called me, what they say I am. But at any rate, go add me on some of those. I really do want to stay connected. It's a beautiful way that we can connect. Okay, so owners are rapport builders. I mentioned the books. These two came out this year. I don't know what I was thinking, putting out 2 books on the same day. They're doing quite well. Very fond of them. This is a creative, hand-drawn, handwritten. They're saying the first of its kind. It's kind of getting some funky press. I've heard from some really neat people about it. This one's been called Company of Owners, that we're talking about today. Best book I've read since Good to Great by several C-level execs. By the way, I have some here that we're going to be selling in the back. I don't have a lot of them. If you're not able to get something here, we'll hook you up, okay? But fantastic, and I've got a special deal for y'all, the whole thing, all right? So I'm super proud of these. These are my little babies, other than my 3 grown babies, okay? 28, 26, and 19. These are my new babies. So I'm so excited, but I've got an even better deal than a great discount on them for y'all. Who would like a free copy of my book? Who wants a free copy of my book? Come on. Who? Really? Sorry, you get bonus points for coming up on stage. Okay. What's your name? Kelly? Where'd the whiteboard one go? Right there? What's your name? Nicola. Okay, what did they do that nobody else in the room did? They went to the ball. Owners go to the ball. They don't wait for it to come to them. I mean, we stand out there so many times going, me, pick me, and I'm just telling you, it's not going to work that way. So a friend of mine said recently, quit waiting for your ship to come in. It's not going to come in. You have to go build it. So, and whoever told us that lie years ago, that good things come to those who wait, okay? Not true. Good things come to those who go out and make it happen, who go to the action, who go to the ball. So I'm coaching Callahan now. The UT student was 5 at the time. I'm coaching her first little foray into basketball. It's a little church league, and I've got all these little 5-year-old girls, and they're lined up on either side the first day of practice. I'm standing there lecturing about basketball, and I'm holding the ball. And as I'm talking to these little parallel lines of 5-year-old girls, I drop the ball, and it kind of bounces. What do you think those 5-year-old girls did? They went, boop, and just kind of watched it roll by. When I saw that, I went all evil on their little 5-year-old rear ends. I was like, don't you ever let me see that happen again. Do you understand? This is what this game is about. It is about this ball. If this ball is anybody but your teammate has it, you better go after them. You better punch them in the face. You better grab that ball. You better. Okay, so a few moms called me that night. My daughter's crying. She can't go to sleep. She's so terrorized. From then on, I would do that in practice. We'd have broken bones. It was all, but man, I raised a bunch of little scrappers because that's what it's about, right? Go to the ball. Anybody know the name Larry Bird? Okay, that's exactly what Larry Bird did. Larry Bird played for the Boston Celtics. Now, all of those great, man, back in the day, Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers, it's where I first fell in love with basketball, those epic matches that would happen. You got Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Reality is, Larry Bird wasn't that great. I mean, he just wasn't that great a natural sort of player. But you know what Larry did that a lot of other players didn't do is he put in more time. So if shooting practice started at 12, Larry Bird would show up at 10 or 9, and he would put in 3 extra hours. And because of that, he won 3 championships, many MVP awards, all sorts of accolades, and was really esteemed as like one of the great players down through history. So they were doing, when he was retiring, they were going around and interviewing other players that had played against him. And one of those guys was Xavier McDaniel, played for the Supersonics. And they started interviewing him. He says, let me tell you a Larry Bird story. 12 seconds left in the game. The game is, they were either tied up or I think the Celtics may have been down by 1. So they get the ball, Celtics have the ball, they call a timeout, they go over to the side. Larry Bird goes over to the coach, says, get me the ball, because that's what owners do. I want the ball. So he goes over to the coach, says, look, I'm the coach, I'll figure it out. So he designs the play, sends it back in and says, okay, get Larry Bird the ball. So Larry Bird comes in, he goes over to the guy guarding him on the opposite team, Xavier, and he says, you know I'm going to take the last shot, don't you? And Xavier McDaniel goes, yeah, I figure you probably will. He walks over to a spot on the court, and he goes, I'm going to shoot it in your face from right here. So sure enough, boom, 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 inbound, pass, pass, pass. Larry Bird takes the ball, goes over to that exact spot, does a little dribble, turns around, jumps up over Xavier McDaniel, and right through, up by 1. He comes down at that point, and he's all disgusted, and he looks over at Xavier McDaniel and says, I didn't mean to leave 2 seconds on the clock. Okay. Now, is that confidence or is that cocky or some combination of both, right? So here's the point. Larry Bird, was it about the spot on the court that he picked? Maybe he might be pretty good from that spot, but it was really about something else. When Larry Bird said, I'm going to shoot it from right here, what he was really saying was, I'm going to shoot it from right here. I know what I'm capable of. I tell myself the right things. I know the skills and the things I've developed, and I know I'm really, really good at what I do, as I know all of y'all are. By the way, you're not here if you're not great at what you do. People who show up to things like this are the learners, are the owners already. So I know this crowd's already been sort of pre-culled, if you will, pre-selected. But Larry was really saying, I'm going to shoot it from right here, and I'm going to shoot it from right here. I know I've got the heart. I know I've got the passion for what I do. And when he put all that together, he was able to say, and oh, by the way, I'm going to shoot it from right here and be successful about it. It wasn't about the spot. Owners go to the ball. Whoops, I'm going backwards. Okay. Owners are responsible. Who knows the 3 kinds of responsible? There's 3 kinds of responsible. Anybody have teenagers? Or have had teenagers? Okay, what's the first kind of responsible? Irresponsible. That's just so easy. Sorry. Poor teenagers. It's just so wrong. Yeah, irresponsible, right? I don't do what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it. Have you experienced that? Sure. What's the opposite of irresponsible? Responsible. I do what I say I'm going to when I say I'm going to do it. By the way, when you're dealing with irresponsible, have you ever had somebody, raise your hand if you've had someone look you in the face, say, yep, I'm going to take care of that. And you walked away, and they walked away, and both of you knew beyond the shadow of a doubt it was not going to happen? Raise your hand. How many of that was your boss? No, put your hands down. This is on videotape. Okay, yeah, we've all had that experience. And dealing with irresponsible people can be really frustrating. So you got responsible, I do what I say I'm going to do, not irresponsible. What's the third kind of responsible? It's a little thing called non-responsible, and it is all over the place. It is rampant in our culture, it's rampant in our companies, and it's just out there in true form. Non-responsible is this, okay? So what is your name? Sandy. Sandy? Dina, okay? So I come to Sandy and I say, Sandy, I'm going to have this to you by 3 o'clock on Friday. Does that work for you? And Sandy goes, that's great. So it's now 3:15, 3:30, 4 o'clock rolls around. I fire off an email to Sandy. I say, hey, you know what? Well, I'm so sorry. Or I come around and, rush into her office, and bottom line, I don't deliver what I said when I said I was going to do it. But here's the reason why. I needed some stuff from Dina. It was old Dina, I'm telling you. I stopped by Dina's office. I don't know what that person does during the week, but she is not taking care of business, because I even tried to go by. I sent her a text, didn't hear back from her. Sandy, I'm so sorry. I wasn't able to take care of that, but it wasn't me. It was who? Dina. Okay, how many of you have had that experience? I mean, if you use that kind of excuse, raise your hand if you've ever been late to a meeting. Come on, we all have. Okay. How many of you knew it was going to take 19 minutes to get there and you left at 20 minutes till, okay? And then when, lo and behold, the stars all don't align and you get there late, what do you blame it on? Traffic. I'm late, but geez, it's that just traffic. You know how it is in LA or wherever, okay? So I had an experience years ago, back when I was married. This might explain some of it. No, been divorced 10 years. So this is years ago, kids are young, I'd come in, we were living out, which now is a really popular area in Dallas, but we were early frontier, pioneers out there. So we're out of this place, I come in late at night, I've been working hard, I roll in about 10 o'clock, my now ex, but at the time wife, meets me and says, hey, did you pick up the milk that I asked you to get? And I looked at her and I went, oh. Geez, I am so sorry. I totally spaced it. Long day at work, blah, 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 blah. And I looked at her, and there was a look on her face that changed me from that day moving forward. We're going to have some fun with this. What do you think that look was? Disgust. I saw that look on occasion, but no, that wasn't the look. Annoyed, okay? Angry, just kind of frustrated, like, ah, wasn't any of those things. It was one of these. And I thought, boy, is that the level of expectation I've created? That when I don't do something that I've said I was going to do, that it's sort of like, I figured there was kind of a 80% chance it was going to happen anyway. And I decided in that moment, the buck stops here. I'm done. This is not going to happen. I'm not going to live my life this way with her or anybody else. I went over and I grabbed my keys, and now keep in mind, we're a long way from an open grocery store. She said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to get some milk. She said, Daren, you're going to have to drive a long, long way. And, I said, look, I don't care if I have to buy it at a gas station and pay triple the prices. I'm bringing the milk. I told you I would bring home milk, and I'm going to bring the milk. If you don't hear anything else from this whole talk today, if we in this room would just be responsible. Now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean other things don't get in the way or people don't get us what we need but I heard earlier today talking about owning it and about taking the responsibility. If we will do that, and I know this group is good at that, that's a deal changer. In fact, in the military, they have a missile called a fire and forget missile. And the reason it's a fire and forget missile is because when you hit the button, you can walk away, because it is guaranteed to hit their target. And that's the kind of people we want to be. Are you the kind of person that when you say, you raise your hand and go, I got it, that you're so dependable that they can wash their hands of it and forget about it completely? You want to be indispensable to any relationship or to any organization. Adopt that as your mindset and see if it doesn't yield big results. Okay, one more real quick, and then we're going to close. Owners leave it better than they found it. So my buddy, we actually have a book co-written coming out called The Sink. It's about this experience. He walks into a bathroom in an airport one day, and he sees a guy over there, and this guy is super well dressed, and he's got the paper towels, and he's wiping the sink down. So my buddy Walter Nussbaum says to the guy, hey, they sure have well-dressed help around here, okay? And the guy just kind of laughs, and then he says, well, you know what they say, leave it better than you found it. And Walter thought, wow, that's interesting. So Walter comes over a little bit later, and he washes his hands at the sink, and guess what he found himself doing? Wiping down the sink. And not only that time, but every time since then, leaving it better than you found it. I was out on a little morning walk the other day, a little power walk. I saw this cement truck, spick and span, and there's this guy down there spit polishing the rims on the tires of this cement truck. And I go over to him. I walked by and I go, no, I got to go back. So I go back, walked over and I said, hey, sir, I'm sorry. Are you the driver? And he goes, yeah, I am. I said, what are you doing? He looks at me like, he goes, well, I'm cleaning the truck. And I said, yeah, but why? And he said, he looked at me like I was just being ridiculous. And he said, well, you got to take pride in your work, right? I thought he was going to tell me a manager told me I had to, or if you don't do it, we're going to get in big trouble. It's part of our contract. We're doing some big award that if, you keep your truck really, really clean, you get to go to the Bahamas that year. It was just purely a mentality thing, and that's owners. Owners leave it better than they found it. Now, what does that look like for you? My buddy grew up in Argentina, and they had, as you do in some of those parts of the world, a little more affordable, and they had someone who would come in on a regular basis, clean the house, take care of some cooking, do some things, some of those responsibilities. He comes in one day, and she's singing, just singing her little heart out, right? And he's like, says her name, like, Marie, why are you singing? She said, because I'm cleaning, and I'm cleaning your house, and I'm doing these things for this family that I really love and care about. He says, yeah, but why are you singing? And she thought about it for a little bit, and then she came up with this word, atmosphere. I'm an atmosphere creator. Yes, that's what I am. I'm an atmosphere creator. And that's the way that she viewed herself. Everybody in this room is an atmosphere creator. You create a certain atmosphere for the people you deal with, the people you interact with every day. You know what I told you about that business actionable mantra? I walked into a gas station a couple of years ago, go up to the two clerks. They'd been waiting on me. I come to that place in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm there, once a month for probably 6 months running. I walk up to the counter and I say, hi, how are y'all doing? They're like, oh, we're doing great and everything. I said, do y'all know how important your job is? And they said, dude, what are you talking about? We check people out at the gas station. I said, no. I said, for the most part, people walking in that door, you're going to be the first adult human interaction that they have that day. And the way you deal with them influences the way they're going to act moving forward and the kind of day that they're going to have. And I guarantee you, they were beaming when I walked out of there. Okay, so we're going to close. I came purposefully yesterday so I could hang out with y'all and been talking to some of y'all, and thank you for being so very gracious, and you guys have just been awesome. But now this is just like from the heart, okay? It's been said, and this is true, you are the light of the world. You are doing amazing things in the lives of the people around you, and you talk about unsung heroes. I have a friend of mine said, hey, here's who I'm going to speak to, and she works in the space. She says, they are the legs that hold up the company. She said, even if you feel invisible at times, you're not. You're vital. You're really important. I know I'm preaching to the choir on that, but I want you to hear somebody else say that. The impact that you have on that company and on people cannot be measured. So keep it up. Keep up that kind of level of care and intensity, and it will pay big dividends both in your lives and somebody else's life. Okay, so you got to show up. You got to know your identity. You got to act like an owner. I want you to do one more thing. Everybody stand up. So for Larry Bird, Xavier McDaniel represented the enemy, someone who was standing between him and his goal. That your Xavier McDaniels all throughout the day could be all sorts of things. It could be that surly employee you're dealing with. It could be your boss. It could be difficulties you're having, making something happen. All sorts of things that stand in your way. So I want you to have the right attitude going in there. Pick a partner. Pick your Xavier McDaniel. Turn around. And I want you to say this with me with vim and vigor. Okay, get your game face on. You got your partner? Now say this to them. You know I'm going to take the game-winning shot, don't you? And then point to your heart and say, and I'm going to shoot it from right here. Point to your head, I'm going to shoot it from right here. And I'm going to shoot it from right here. Now go win some championships.